Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to this little session together. I'm super excited to be here with you as the habit dictates. I believe we need to be inspired often by the transformation we do by changing our habits, improving our belief system, working on our consistency. And that's why I have today's topic for you. And I hope it will excite you like it excites me. It's really about how to be a coffee bean rather being a carrot. And you might be thinking, hey, Matteo, why did you pick this topic? I'm quite curious what you want to communicate with us today and what you want to share. But in general, if you think about our life, so often we tend to overreact and we don't manage stress that well and we get tense in different type of situations. And if you have been following me for a while or if you're new again, I want to welcome you here. I'm Matteo. I am the founder of MatteoMelichar.co and MatteoMelichar.com and FitFun.live. And I'm also, a big believer in managing our own belief system, in managing ourselves. Hence today's topic. Perhaps like yourself and like myself, you come from humble beginnings. You try to every day decide and be a little bit more productive with your time, with your energy. And I came to believe over a period of time when we actually start managing ourselves better, everything else in our life improves as well. And everybody has a different journey. Everybody goes from different point of view and starts in a different direction, but in the end we go all towards the same satisfaction and towards the same destination in life, which is really being in harmony with ourselves, having peace, having energy, managing ourselves. And today's topic is all about that. How many times have you been in a situation where you wanted to just like pull your hairs out and being really unhappy with how things are unfolding? And often it really comes down to not being in touch with ourselves and just being swept by the environment. And today's topic is really about that. If you think about coffee bean, if you think about the carrot, those are two distinguished products, or perhaps even topics that we could dive into. If you think about carrot, my favorite actually vegetable, because I just cooked some soup as the winter settles here in Europe slowly, and days are a little bit shorter and it's a bit colder. It really pays to ask ourselves, where do we want to go in our life? And in the winter times, doing a bone broth and eating carrot, it's very very good. In general, I come also from Eastern Europe where we used to juice a lot because my dad, we grew up on a farm and we did experiment with radish and having our own farm, having animals. But one of the things we experimented with was drinking 1 liter carrot juice every day. So I remember the time when actually my skin even turned to yellow, and I went to the doctor and he said, "Yeah, you're drinking too much carrot." So that was really funny. A little bit got sidetracked here, but what I wanted to say with this, carrot is this vegetable which actually, when you cook it, gets softer. Imagine coffee when you have still, probably like myself, an espresso machine or whatever, you're still grinding your beans. When you put beans in water, the beans itself, for example, don't dissolve at all. They change the environment, and unlike carrot, which actually gets impacted by the environment and gets softer. And there is a brilliant book about it. So I don't remember now the author, but just have a look, perhaps on Amazon and Blinkist. I listened to this a couple of years ago, and it really stuck with me. And that's why I'm sharing this example with you here. That I believe we all have to be carrots at some situations. Sometimes we need to be softened by the environment because of our belief system, because of our habits, and because we are too stuck in our ways. And that can be also because, obviously, in today's time, in today's turbulent times, we might need to actually take a step back and say, okay, well, I actually need to try to do something else with my life. But oftentimes we also need to be the coffee bean who actually doesn't get impacted in our heart and center, and really kind of we hone in onto the inner citadel, onto our belief system, and we keep that. And being a coffee bean is very useful in the long run. Being a carrot is very useful in the short term and on these kind of little sprints in life, which actually compiles into bigger marathons. So you want to be flexible in your actions and your belief system, but you want to be really solid in your character. So I'm moving to today's point, and that's these three things I believe will help you to solidify being a coffee bean. But also, again, where you're at, I don't want to preach at you. So if you choose to be carrot, it's very good because you obviously want to soften the impact and you want to bend in the storm rather than break like a tree. So but the whole goal of today is really to focus on being a coffee bean. So, how can you solidify being a coffee bean? So, the first thing I have for you today is climbing the hilltop. So, the mountain has the hill, but it has the hilltop as well. So, it's the highest part of the mountain. And a lot of times we in our life tend to focus on things that are directly in our sight. So let's say you're going through a rough patch in your relationship. Perhaps there is also on the top of it, you might be, in a danger of layoffs at work, and there's a last thing, your health is actually a little bit down for the last years because you didn't invest so much into fitness. So a lot of times when we are there, right there in the situation, and the stress presses us against the wall, and we feel a little bit like, wow, I'm losing a little bit the situation here. First of all, we might be uncomfortable, but eventually when we don't change everything, or our perspective especially, and that's what I want to talk about here, we will be really feeling like this is the normal for us. This is the every now and then we feel stress, it's okay. And we forget that sometimes we need, like I just showed you, to climb the hilltop. We need to climb the mountain. Maybe we are already in a pursuit of climbing our hills, but we forget that we need actually a higher vantage point to gain the bigger perspective, to take a step back and say, okay, well, this is my life, this is my health, this is my relationship at work with my boss, and this is perhaps the relationship I have at home, which is not working really well, or I'm not in touch with myself. So you look at these different areas. This is how I eat, this is how I operate, this is how I sleep, and all of these things actually are a little bit like the soup that I just described. You like this, all the vegetables you dump in there, the meat, and you create this beautiful bone broth, and you actually get this type of feeling out of life based on these different ingredients you put into the soup. You, or if you will, you compare it the way you live your life. These are the ingredients: your health and relationships at work, and the fact that you haven't been working out for a while. So gain again this hilltop, climb up, gain this perspective, because it will help you to really get new perspective. Second, I want you to really look at establishing the limiting beliefs. And this is a little bit maybe hardcore, but what I want to say with this point is we want to be sure of managing our thought system. So my good friend Deborah Gamel, and if you don't know Deborah, she's a wellness integrative health coach, and I would encourage you to connect with her. She talks about these bumper cars, so these thoughts that pop up in your head when things go sideways. And I realize in my life as well, it's very important to manage a track of what's happening. When we were born, we probably never really received a manual to our mind and to our thoughts. And as we go through life, we realize more and more that we need actually to become better at navigating what's happening in our mind. So first, you can influence it yourself. You can influence how you feel from day to day, and you can also influence the environment that comes at you. So hence the coffee bean. So you can really start impacting it. When you are in center here, you can also be in peace with everything else. So managing and then identifying those limiting beliefs, meaning, okay, I actually don't work out because I think, I'm fat and I will stay fat forever. Or my boss, actually, I will get fired just because everybody else get fired and I'm not valuable. And my relationship doesn't work just because my partner is stupid, whatever that is. And these are a little bit silly examples, but think about it for yourself. How could you identify these top, let's say, 3, 5, 10 limiting beliefs, and how could you today do a little tiny step to work on them and work them each and every day? Because it's one thing is obviously identifying them, but the second is how can you move from there and work them consistently, one step at a time, so you really start making progress. And the third piece I want to tell you is picking up the spear of opportunity. Again, this sounds fancy pantsy. In the end, it's kind of climbing towards the finish line. What I want to give you here is we live in times of abundance, but we live also in turbulent times. Like in history, there is always something happening. And how we can impact the life of others and ourselves is really waking up every day ultra clear and saying, I'm gonna pick up my spear, I'm gonna grab it, and gonna throw it out in the distance. And to make it practical, it might mean going back to the example at work that maybe you're need to learn a bit more to cope with your emotions. Perhaps you need to hire a coach. Perhaps you need to hire a buddy. You need to get talking to your friend more on a regular basis. So you get a little bit out of your comfort zone, out of your head. It might also mean that you need to read a book with your partner about relationship. And perhaps it might need to reskill. You might need to sign up for a gym. And more importantly, you might even need to actually have somebody who's keeping you accountable, who's keeping you on the track, so you actually show up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know that you need to go for massage. You know that you need to have a child care for your kids. And all of these things actually will stack up on the top of each other, but you have to be ultra clear where you're going and how you want to get there. So I hope this gave you a little inspiration and hope that when you manage yourself, you can really start seeing things better. But it starts with this perspective of climbing the hill, managing yourself better, making sure you manage those thoughts, and you really pick up the spear of opportunity every day, throw it as far as possible. And when you actually solve that one piece in your life, and you keep marching, right? You keep marching behind the spear, and then you keep it not lying around, but you just pick it again and throw it even further. And this is what's called incremental and never ending process and progress. You want to be improving, you want to be progressing, and you want to be going towards the finish line strongly, powerfully, and with zest for life. So I hope this served you. It gave you a little inspiration. I get a little bit thirsty here. So I hope it gave you a little hope and opportunity to take your life, take the reins again. I believe in you. I know that you've got this and you can really build your life. You have a unique life, and you need to know that you can take ownership of your life and build the life of your dreams. So again, stay humble, stay strong, and until the next time, I'm looking forward to see you again.